Detroit City, where stars shine in the east, inside a safe space creating perfect vibes for poetic prophets to light up the D, with creative energy flowing over rivers, streaming through woods into universal hoods where 313's authenticity is consistent from front to back, no matter how it's cut. Innovators raised by a strong hand, warmed in a mitten thrive when real ones rock mics, spitting fire in a chilled spot where poetry is welcomed with open arms. So sit back, relax, come and get this love from your Motor City hostess, Tia Lise, on the B-side.
Come chill with vibes and verses.
One and only soulful poetry. If it ain't love related, it ain't related to me. The name of the piece that I'm about to spit for you guys today is called Swimming Lessons, and I hope you enjoy it. Around the age of 8, my older cousin taught me how to swim. Educated me on the art of relaxation, laying loosely above waters, slowly breathing through my nose and exhaling the bounds of gravity. Years pass and I'm 15. Around this time, I think I'm confident enough to teach my entire house how to swim. Around that time, they needed it more than I did anyway, because you know, drowning in bills can make you forget how to stay upright when your feet is barely touching the bottom surface. Water filling your ears with so many it'll be okays, and I'm praying for you that you can dang near hear your account overdraft and like maybe I didn't learn enough to teach. Maybe at some point it was hard for me to understand that at some point life becomes an Olympic game. And waking up without joint pains feels like winning a gold medal. Stress being so deeply rooted in my day that I find adrenaline rushes just to see if my heart can still beat the same. Like if I start sinking in this water, am I drowning or getting closer to God? The first time I surrendered to God, I became an author of duality. I started asking God, if I start writing my chapters before I start reading your chapters, would you be mad at me? And he chuckled. Like y'all nerves. Act like I ain't been pushing P when I gave you Proverbs. I'm talking King James, the New Testament. I gave my son, because I'll be danged if my son can't see farther than his father. I'm going incognito because you can't tell me you drowning in deep waters, but the answer's been listed. Yet you still got the audacity to act hurt by your gross stunt doubling. Like your actions wasn't already scripted. You lose yourself in an identity crisis, not me. My son. You need to look closely. So the first time I surrendered to my reflection, boy, I seen everything I needed to see. I saw God at 60 frames per second. I dropped any megabyte of doubt that would make this frame drop. We created resolution. Oh, days the screen was missing. A blunt for every time words got misunderstood to all I had was high definitions. I missed the days I didn't surrender to the high. I missed the days where being high was just a moment after my lighter flicked. But now, I've had to learn how to self-control my consumptions to avoid recycling emotions at dispensary. This is what surrendering did to me. I even started calling the Bible a body of water because sometimes verses get ocean deep. Since then, I ain't never feared drowning. To be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to ever fear drowning. One day, my boy told me that if you ever want to be happy, you have to surrender yourself to your joy. I heard God say, if you ever wanted to learn how to swim, you got to surrender yourself to the waters. And if you ever want to be one with God, then you have to surrender your soul. So, Lord, I surrender. Thank you.
What up, though, family and beyond? It's your girl, Tia Lise, the Motor City Sis, and I am back with another episode of Vibes and Verses with my friend, co-host, colleague, homie, Mr. Soulful Poetry.
What's up? How you guys doing? How you guys doing? What up, though? You know what it is. We're vibes and verses.
Okay.
You feel me? All blessings, no curses.
Okay. I love that. I love that. So listen, guys. Well, Soulful, I want you to first, I ask everybody starting off this show, first I want to say thank you for coming
thank
and partaking and enjoying yourself, you know, because you are a busy man.
You.
You
Lord,
are
you hear
a
it,
busy
Lord?
artist. Super busy.
Yeah.
And as I start off each show, I got to ask you, what's your poetry story?
Oh,
I know, right?
let me move this mic a little closer right here so y'all can get me clear. All right. So, my poetry story, from the aspect of what made me write the first ever poem. I had a crush on somebody. I was in elementary school.
Okay.
So I would say this is 2006, 7.
Okay.
No, 6, 7. Coming towards the end of my elementary into middle.
Mm-hmm.
I went home to my mother and I said, Mom, I really like this girl. Like, I really, now you know. And she like, write her a poem. I'm like, what's up? What? A what? She like, what? She like, a poem. So in that moment, she showed me some poetry, flowetry, NDIRE,
Yeah,
things of that nature.
Uh-huh.
And I wrote the poem. And I remember to this day, the poem was Rosebud Red, Violets are Blue. You don't know me, but I like you.
Aww.
Real quick, yeah, you say that. Watch this. So I go to school. I go to school early, and within going to school early, the school. So if like this is the house, this is the school. So it's 1, 2. I'm 5 steps away from the front door.
Okay.
I leave my door. I walk across the street, walk to the side of the school, and I sit there and I wait. Right. About an hour passed by.
Yeah.
People finally show up to the school.
Right.
Doors open. My man's like, "Ah, man, you coming in? Da 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 da."
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta wait. My wife coming. I gotta let her know she my wife. So she walk up. I see her. I say, "Hey, Lexi, let me pull you aside." And I handed her this poem. She read it. She smiled. And then folded it back up and handed it right back to me.
Oh.
She was like, thank you. And then walked right into the classroom. I'm like,
Oh, no, I would have been like, I would have said thank you and that's nice and all that. I would have, she just was.
And then one thing I want people to consider is that that's my first time ever moving out the city. Like I told you, I was born and raised on State Fair and John R. State Fair on Coventry.
Okay.
I've been in the hood my whole life.
Right,
so
right.
me going up to Rochester, I'm meeting a
Complete
white woman
Uh-huh.
for the first time.
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh wow, how do I do this? She's gonna judge me. She didn't judge. She was just like, thank you.
Wow.
And then like last week, I go on Facebook, I see her. I see her on Facebook. Shit, I think she buried now. So, yeah, Lexi Loisel, if you see this, I appreciate you. Very much so. But yeah,
so you are a part of his poetry story.
man. So from that's how I wrote my first poem. In terms of the journey, depression,
Okay.
Getting into some dark places,
I feel you.
and not knowing how to talk to people, because I don't think people were listening to me. I think
feel you.
that it was more so on the side of, oh, you Tasha's son. You feel me? Or, oh, you Chuck's son. You feel me? Or, oh, you the funny cousin, da da da.
Right,
But
right.
other than that, when I'm experiencing bullying, and I wasn't bullied. I was humiliated. That's it was bad. So got to middle school. I said if I start rapping, they're gonna like me. I start rapping. After I start rapping, I'm like, you know what? I need to lean more towards poetry. Poetry is where I feel it more. So, 2015 was the last time I made a song. Went from 2015 all the way to 2020, just doing poetry.
Wow.
2019, I hit a stage for the first time. In 2015, I had started posting. I've been posting poems on Instagram since 2015.
Wow.
I have so many poems on Instagram, and that to sum up the journey is that it went from 15 starting to post, pulling away from music. 2019, I hit a stage for the first time. Thank you to Miss Rosie, my best friend, that literally pulled up on me at my house and drugged me out the house to an open mic.
That's dope.
And from then on, like ever since that moment,
You just
so
and that's
forward.
funny because I know that I came across you had to be maybe like I want to say that open mic was right after Motown Mike.
Yep.
It was in 2022. That's probably when I saw you. Let me say, I've seen you perform, and I would have had no idea that you were still, in embryo in performing.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? You could not tell. You look like you have been doing it for years. You know what I'm saying?
God woke something up to me in that moment. The moment he put me on the stage, the first time I did it, I got jitters. But I said, oh my God, I want to do it again.
Right.
Then I did it the second time, and I'm like, did I just find my thing? Did I just find my thing? I'm like, no, I got to do it again. And then again. And then I look up, I'm spending $100 a week on open
Mics, yeah, man.
I'm doing to DoorDash the money that I need for an open mic just to come back and spend the money the same night on open mics. I'm talking back.
That's dedication.
Man, I'm talking Cafe Melanin, was it off of Outer Drive and Gratiot? At right there on the upstairs spot, Nandi's. Club NEP, Punchlines.
I've seen Club NEP.
Ben Jones with D Tribute, what he was doing at that spot. Like, I started off with people who coming into the scene. I don't know, the scene was so different back then. Like, even
Yeah.
it was a lot different.
That was the next question I was going to ask you too. What a wonderful segue. Okay, from when you started, right, performance, which you said was like 2019. What's different on the scene now in comparison to then for you?
For me, I would say what's different is politics.
Oh, say that.
Politics. I think in any entertainment industry, you're gonna have politics.
Sure.
But every generation handle politics differently.
Nice.
There's a moral foundation that comes with politics, depending on what era you were raised in. And
Yeah.
so I would say politics, opportunity. There's a lot bigger opportunities now, poetry wise.
Yes.
Shout out to Joel Flowing Green
Yes.
and Oceana. Me doing that Tigers commercial. That. Man, you couldn't tell me. You couldn't tell me sitting there writing a poem about how I felt so lonely and that I just needed somebody to listen. Doing that one time in 2015, almost 10 years later, was going to lead me to doing a commercial with the Tigers. Like
That's the thing. You never know what's going to lead you. You never know. Because I will tell you, before getting back on the poetry scene, I didn't really know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? I remember going to Chameleon Cafe when Ben Jones was hosting. You know what I'm saying? So this is when my daughter was a little girl.
Yeah,
that's
what I'm saying? That's back when Detroit won nationals for 2002.
Yes,
yeah.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? So been in this and saw a lot of people come up, move on, do great things. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes when you are forced to take a break because of life, lifing. You know what I mean? And you're forced to take a break. It's hard to find an avenue that you could feel comfortable in. Right. You know what I mean? And what helped me was my daughter kind of lightweight, inadvertent challenging me. Like, Mommy, she just kind of put the little message for the Motown mic right on my page. And was like, I'm just saying.
What's her daughter's name?
Imani.
Thank you, Imani. Thank you for showing your mother how talented and amazing she is and how much we need her in this scene. Thank you.
So that just, made me bring it all back full circle,
Right,
so I get what you mean, just 100%. Making sure. And I think oftentimes that's why I wanted to do a show that was kind of podcast style, but still had an up close and personal performance mechanism.
Very much.
You know what I'm saying? So. And shouts out to everybody who is on the scene, competing and doing all those things now, but still making time to give back.
Very
You
much
know what I'm
so.
saying? To do
Very much
workshops
so.
to help people, pull people along, and I wanted to be a part of that group of people, So that's why
Very
we
much
did
so.
Vibes and Verses. But in order for y'all to feel me, then
Mhm.
you got to get stars.
Well, you know, you can't recognize a
Like
star
Bro
unless you.
Bro.
Hey, you can't recognize a star unless you a star yourself.
You see what I'm
You see what
saying?
I'm saying? We all in the galaxy.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So now we got to talk about the poem you just did.
Oh man,
What
swimming
they just
lessons.
saw.
Swimming lessons. Oh wow, swimming lessons. So, where would you like me to start?
I
Like,
mean, it's your feature. You
So,
telling me? I'm just.
I'll say this.
eager.
So, let's start with how swimming lessons came about, right? So, I don't know if this is a PG-13
No,
show.
you could do your thing. We
say
can
less.
have fun.
All right. So, me and a friend was having a hot box session,
Okay.
right? While we smoking, he like, if you think about it, God is water.
Mm.
I'm like, boy, is it that good? Is it that potent? Like that? Is that potent? Is it pass it? But you had it for 5 minutes. That's why you saying stuff like that. So we really got to talking about it. He's like, if you think about it, God is water. And I said, well,
That's beautiful.
if God is water, then learning how to trust God is learning how to swim.
Swim. Yes.
And he was like, well, you can't learn how to swim unless you learn how to surrender your body to the water.
Ooh.
And I said, well, that makes sense because unless you surrender yourself to God, you don't truly trust Him.
Ooh.
So I said,
And you think about it, when you're in embryo stages, you're swimming
in water.
in
The body is made of mostly what?
water. The world is made of mostly water. Ooh.
And water shapes and adjusts to anything and everything that it's into.
It finds its own level.
Even when you heat it up and it changes phases, it's still water.
Yes.
So I was like, oh my God. So learning how to swim is learning how to trust God. And so I sat down and I'm like, how can I take swimming and turn it into a gospel poem? Because one thing, when you're doing poetry, there's a certain mechanism in poetry where, and I learned this from somebody who told me they learned it from Rudy Francisco about little big poems and big little poems.
Ooh.
So a little big poem is, if it's little, I'm making it personal, and halfway through the poem, I expand it to relate to everybody.
Right.
So if I say, I hate tomatoes, I don't like red toenail polish, I don't like da 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 da, then I get into the fact that it reminds me of blood. I went from going personal to expanding it out to relate to everybody.
Okay, so you giving me chills right now, because this seems like, without knowing, this is exactly what I did with the poem that I performed in Motown Mike. Ain't it peculiar? You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what you did.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm glad you're here. I think I went over time, right? And if I did, it was because I heard your response, but it made me feel so good. I love that.
I was hoping you weren't gonna bring this up, because I was thinking I was going, come on,
I loved it.
come on.
I loved it, because you know what? That's what when we talk about, those artists, those major artists that we love, like Prince and Michael Jackson and all these big names, and you see the euphoria that they must feel when they come out on the stage and they done feel, they're affecting all these people. And feeling that just on the smallest level.
It's overwhelming.
It is so overwhelming. It is so overwhelming. And then when when you are able to move the artists that you respect. You know what I'm saying? And I just want you to know, don't never stop the way you support people.
Thank
You know what I'm saying?
And shout out to Urban Legend Obasaki.
Yes,
Shout out to
yes.
Galaxy. Shout out
Yes.
to RJMC.
Yes,
the
because
winners.
they all did a
They
fantastic job.
Dang,
And it was a fantastic night, though, because I
Oh.
felt like nobody did bad, and
No.
it was a competition, but it wasn't that vibe. It didn't feel like we were competing. Everybody was rooting for everybody.
Yeah.
It was a showcase.
People were getting out of their seats.
Yes.
Screaming.
Standing.
Shelby went crazy.
Oh,
DJ.
man.
Shelby, DJ, True.
Yes.
Who
yes.
else?
Yes.
I'm
Lauren.
trying to think of everybody.
my gosh.
Oh man, everybody went crazy.
And we had so much fun. Oh my
did,
God.
we did.
You know what I mean?
And that food was good. Y'all don't know about that part. That food they had for us in the beginning. Ooh, I had about 2-3 some sandwiches. That's probably that's probably why I was sweating so much when I got on stage. All that Italian dressing was coming out my damn pores. I'm like, ah, is it hot?
but back to what we was originally
Right,
talking
right.
about in the Big Little Poem.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
so-
saying? I didn't know that was the actual concept.
Very much so. Very
Wow.
much so. And what it is that it helps with being able to expand ideas of what you're speaking about in a manner that makes sense, right? If I want to write, like, for instance, if I wanted to write a poem talking about how I dislike the smell of garlic, or I dislike garlic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I'll start off with a story about a vampire.
Right. Somebody that does
But-
not like garlic,
What
right?
you mean, like, oh yeah, I grew up loving Hotel Transylvania. Anything else that had to relate to vampires, and then going to garlic, and then how the smell of garlic reminds me of being in the kitchen with somebody who would traumatic poem and blood and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh my God, like that's
Right.
crazy. Like I have a poem that I'm writing that let me do a little drop real quick.
Please do.
Where'd you find this? New sneak peek. I'm working on a poem regarding to brotherly love, right?
Okay.
And by that I mean we have this code where you don't snitch on your brother. You don't tell on family. You don't tell secrets.
Right.
But what do you do when people experience trauma
Thank you.
and they don't talk about it because they're going based off of a code
Right.
that y'all have? You don't tell on family
So they're not getting the help they need.
because you don't tell.
Exactly.
So that's the new poem I'm working on and what it's about.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's nothing personal to me. It's not a personal story for me, but I realized that there are some people out there who have experienced things that they don't know how to talk about because of the code of you don't tell on family.
Right.
When family were the one that did it to you,
Wow.
and it's one of them things where, as somebody who has experienced it, I haven't experienced it to the level that I'm writing it.
Got you.
So, yeah, so when it comes to those things like that, now all of that we just said ties into swimming lessons. Swimming lessons is a little big poem. I start off with, around the age of 8, my older cousin taught me how to swim,
Right.
educated me on the art of relaxation, laying loosely above water, slowly breathing through your nose and exhaling the bounds of gravity.
Right.
I'm literally just setting the scene for what it looks like learning how to swim.
Right.
The first time you actually take that breath, when you learn how to swim the very first time, like the moment you learn, you feel all the fear leave your body when you start floating. I
Right.
remember it clear as day. I was like,
Right.
oh, she was like,
Right.
my cousin that was teaching me was like, bro, I told you, like, it's not hard. Like, it's the anxiety.
It's the anxiety. It's the mind game we play on ourselves, and it's funny you say that because that's one of my things for 2025. I have to learn how to swim. I feel like it's going to just release whatever else I'm holding back. You know what I'm
Swimming
saying?
is a stress reliever and a work
Out.
Oh
Exactly.
my
Exactly.
God.
Those type of things, and
I
that's
had a-
something I need to get back to.
I had a home in, was this Northview?
Now you can drink your drink now. We're
Oh.
grown.
I had we had a house out in Northville, but the house in Northville had a pool inside the house.
Okay. Cool.
It had a pool on the side of the house, and in the back it had a bonfire pit in a wooded area in the back of the house.
Ooh.
So I used to sit and look at the moon through the top roof of the pool and just sit in the pool all day. And that's all I would do is just sit in the pool and just sit there and be like, I'm going to be at some point in life where if in that moment you would have told me I would be right here, and moments like that is what I was thinking about when I wrote the poem.
Wow.
I was like, I learned how to swim because somebody had their arms under my back while I was floating. And I learned how to surrender. And by the time I didn't know that the whole time they never was touching my back.
They just
They was
there.
literally just
just
playing.
there.
They was manipulating the anxiety. Like, I got you. They wasn't touching me. Their hand was like just like this.
Wow.
And when I thought about swimming lessons, I said, you know what? Then you go down into the poem, because you know, drowning in bills can make you forget how to stay upright when your feet is barely touching the bottom surface.
Yes.
Water filling your ears with so many it'll be okays, and I'm praying for you that you can damn near hear your account overdrafted.
Yes.
When I said that, that goes into when you're in the anxiety of wailing your arms and trying to stay afloat.
Right.
I tied that up into being in financial hardship, where everybody calling you like, oh man, you know, I'm praying for you, you know, everything gonna be okay. And while they're doing that, the things that are causing stress are still happening.
Yes.
If a bill is due and I don't got the money to pay it, and somebody say, hey, I'm praying for you, I hope everything will be okay.
That bill still
That next bill, I'm gonna still get a reminder of that bill the next day after they say that. It's not gonna disappear. So when I got into that, you know, because drowning in bills can make you feel how to stay upright when your feet barely touch the surface. Like, maybe if I start sinking in this water, am I drowning or getting closer to God? It's like hard.
So you play and bring it back to your faith.
Very much.
That's so deep.
Yes.
Damn.
Because then you go into the thing of where I used to think when I was coming up, especially in my spirituality, I used to think it did not make sense for God to put you through bad stuff just so you could have trust in Him. I'm like, that sounds like an insecure God. You need to put me through something just for me to feel like. But that don't make sense.
I get you.
And it wasn't that. You're going to experience hardship in life anyway.
Yep.
This is yin and yang world.
Life is supposed to life.
You see what I'm saying? So life is supposed to life.
Yep.
So within that, it's not saying, oh, God is doing this to me. No, life is just happening.
Yes.
Within those things of life happening, though, He's paying attention to how much faith and attention you are keeping on Him.
Yep.
Not on what you're going through.
Right.
It's always, God, why would you put me through this? God, why would you put me through this? I didn't put you through anything. Life is just going to happen.
Remember, we have free will. We make our choices. We can go do whatever. We can make our choices. We choose to fail like we choose to succeed.
And that's what I recently just started saying. I don't know if I said this off mic or on mic when I told you. I realized things are not happening to me. Things are happening.
Right.
And it is within my will and my free will to either give myself so much safety ahead of time that when it happens it doesn't affect me, or when it does happen, make the shift and do and take care of whatever I got to take care of.
Word.
You see what I'm saying?
Word.
Like, God is not letting things happening to me. God is happening for me. You see what I'm saying?
Say that. Toast on that.
Come on now. Come
All
on.
right, now. You
Won't
see
he
how
do
we
it?
doing it.
Won't He do it? You hear me?
It was divine order. This is going so smoothly.
Man.
I'm so glad.
Thanks.
And
I'm grateful.
you hold the distinction now because you're the first brother
Ooh.
that came through for Vibes and Verses. The sisters was feeling me, but the bros, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was trying to get cool with them and let them know, like, y'all welcome to come through, you know, whatever. But sometimes when you say radio show or radio station, people be like, what's she talking about? We just go to Spotify.
And I know y'all hear that. Come on, it's my jam.
Okay.
But in terms of like swimming lessons though, like, you know, finishing out, I got ADHD, so y'all gonna enjoy this. So when it comes to swimming lessons, that became one of the poems that I have just been performing, especially after I went to Voices in Power.
Okay.
I performed it, and a lot of people caught on to it.
It was because it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's at almost 300,000, 200
Wow.
up. Yeah, it's at 1 point something on YouTube. It's at 180 on Instagram.
Okay.
I think it's on 80 or 90 on Facebook. And then on TikTok, it's at 100 and something again.
Now, see, that's what I gotta do. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm telling you,
numbers.
I'm such a radio head that social media and the internet scared me for a minute. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, like, you know, I'm artistic. I'm ultra
Right.
artistic. Always have been. But at the same time, I'll be like, what's going on in my life ain't important enough for people to really want to tune in like that. You know what I'm saying? And I did not realize at the onset the value in planning, you know what I'm saying, content. And that creating your content is a real thing. And I'm just now starting to kind of understand it, you know, but still based on the things that I'm doing when I'm out here, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
What within those things, content is so creative. It's so fun. Like, if anybody go on my Instagram, they'll see a video of me holding the phone. Like, there's a couple different type of content I used to make. I used to make content where I prop my phone up, roll a wood, do a poem, lower the brightness, put a jazz instrumental and a voice recording of me doing a poem over it, put the captions on, the title, put it on
Boom.
Instagram. Now it's turned, and I used to do something called For You Poems, where I'd be like, For You Poem. I smile and then freestyle a poem.
I
People
love
started
it.
biting on to it. They was like, bro, when's the next For You poem? When's the next? So now, my content is,
That's so
I got a message that came to my heart and I want to share it with you. You ready? Are you listening? All right,
I
go,
have
watch
seen
this.
those, right?
I freestyle those. I just be like,
Oh, that's dope.
I need to. The first thing that made me do it was that this year, 2024, from the age of 26 to the age of 27, has given me the knowledge of grace. I know what grace is. I know what God's grace. Once I learned God's grace versus mercy, I thought this whole time God been giving me mercy. No, He's been giving me grace. Because I've been messing up or I've been sinful, but He has still blessed me abundantly.
Right.
With some things that even I try to hold myself accountable to paying more attention for. The small things. Moments like this. This is a blessing that not everybody has the privilege to be interviewed or not even just to be a part of something that's a staple in the city, a staple of what it means to you, but also how grateful it is to have their humility talked about. As an artist, we don't. As an
No,
artist,
that's
our humility is not. It has no sex appeal,
Got you.
and that's why people don't talk about it as much.
That is so true. You hear people talk about an arrogant
Yes.
artist
Yes.
before you hear people talk about a humble one.
Not even just humble, but a modest one.
Yes, a modest one.
One who understands that they can have some layer of humbleness, but they still have confidence in what they talk about, and that's what I try to be. I try to be modest
Yes.
in all times, but I try to be humble before God. You know what I mean? And that's, man, I love this. I love this.
I love it too because it's flowing the way it's supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Now, you ready to give us another poem?
Come on.
All right, so look.
What we doing?
Okay, it's up to you. You get to decide what you want to share
So-
with us. I know you got tell them first of all how to contact you or how to just your social media handles and everything. We want to make sure we get that promotional part in there.
You can follow me on all platforms at Soulful Poetry. That's SOLFULL Poetry. Again, that's SOLFULL Poetry. You can also find me at anything Jules or Detroit related. You know, that's JEWELS. Oh my goodness, I said Jules. Yes, JEWELS. Yeah, ELS of Detroit. Lord, it's working already. Yeah. And it's love related. I have a company brand called Love Related, and that's what I do a lot of like my events through or anything brand Ross.
Okay.
So you can follow me on all platforms at ITS Love Related. Just it's Love Related is one word.
I love it.
So the poem that I'm going to read for you guys today, which I don't do this. I'm going to read you guys a poem from my book,
Okay.
and I have never read a poem from my book live before. And
Vibes and Verses exclusive.
So with this, it's the name of the poem is called "My Struggle Wrote My Eulogy," and it's I wrote it around about a couple years before the George Floyd situation, It was okay. So it was George Floyd. It was Breonna Taylor,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
I wrote this around that time. So
Okay, wait a minute. I gotta cut the music down on this because I want. Okay.
okay. My struggle wrote my eulogy. It saw the real me, and that it would have a lot to say if the same streets that raised me were the same ones that killed me. It spoke of my childhood. A young kid from the east side of Detroit listening to God constantly say I have to make sure that my child's good. As a kid I ain't have no beef, but never worried about sticks and stones trying to break my bones when I was all me. Ignored nights when shit got hot, cause the spice and all I could do was turn off the lights. But the one thing my mother taught me is hate is a bitter reason to entertain anyone acting salty. From that point on, I claimed my success and disappeared without reasoning. My eulogy titled in the front, The Life of a Man Who Found Out Is All in the Season. Poetry kept me alive way after my heart stopped beating. My words gave love to those in search for it, or therapy for the ones that went through so much hurt to walk towards it. It's easy to tell someone that you're the world, but they don't understand just how the heart works. My death was marked down in history with legends, friends, and family came and celebrated, just how I knew they'd come. Dressed in all blue, cause that's the same color of the sky that I'll look down on. I thank God, and God got me before America racism did. I heard their bullets religiously chastise little kids and give them some trauma they can never forgive. My spirit wasn't able to attend my funeral, but I heard my struggle wrote my eulogy. It knew the real me, and that it would have a lot to say if the same streets that raised me were the same one that killed me.
Ooh, I gotta give an applause for that because you know I got sound effects.
Oh, what you got the sound effect?
What? Come on now.
Oh, man. So, my struggle wrote my eulogy.
Beautiful.
With that poem, it was more directed towards if I was in that position, because you never know. You never know. Trayvon Martin don't know he about to go to the liquor store or go to the corner store
And that
to
was
grab
gonna
some
be the
Skittles
end.
in Arizona, and that's gonna be the end.
Right.
Breonna Taylor, she in the bed.
Right.
You
At
feel me?
home.
We think about these situations, and then like you never know.
You don't.
You never know.
You don't.
Think about sundown towns; they still exist.
Yes, they do.
People are still getting roped till
Yes.
this day.
Hey, I went to college in the sticks. You know, even though it was just Ohio, but we were in the sticks, cornfields.
Ohio got its.
Okay.
Ohio is known for its areas where they get like that.
Yes, yes, real talk.
And I
Real
had
talk.
to, within that, I had a moment of, wow, my struggle wrote my eulogy. The things that I went through, my struggle wrote my eulogy and said that it would have a lot to say if the same streets that raised me were the same ones that killed me. That spoke on the violence that happens within the city. Like I said, I lost my little brother to gun violence.
Exactly.
In a situation where it didn't even have to go down like that.
Uh-huh.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Either it can be your environment,
Yes.
or it can be something that keeps you in your environment.
Mm.
It can either be America killing you or America hiring somebody to do it. By hiring, I mean them giving them enough trauma in a situation, being in a space to where they can't flourish.
Right.
That's enough. That's enough to take from somebody if you're not right and getting everything that you need.
You are so right.
Nah.
And you are so before your time.
I told
Oh
you
my
about
God.
that great grandmother, that Miss Willie Pearl Green, Miss Willie Pearl Glass. That's
Miss
that.
Willie Pearl, you did your big one on this one.
Man.
Your dynamic brother.
That's and you know within that it talks about like I'm a love poet.
Mm-hmm.
Like love poetry is how I got my start. That's how when I first came into the scene they were calling me the love doctor. It was,
I love it.
Oh man! But at some point I stopped idolizing my idea of love
Mm.
and started accepting the things I need to learn about myself to get that love in a healthy way.
Ooh.
And it was hard to accept.
I have a poem called Love Sensational. And the whole concept is for people to stop sensationalizing the concept of love. A lot of love is about sacrifice, offering, being able to see beyond yourself, your wants, your needs, and those things. And I think that oftentimes people get real, like, people be like, you've been married for so long, how do you get there?
What do you mean? How do you get there? It's not you. It's never a there that we got to. It's
exactly.
A
it's a constant situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to say what we got to is we got to the realization that we didn't want to do this without the other one.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what we go through.
Right.
You know what
Very
I'm saying?
much so.
So it's not about the wedding,
Right.
but the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not about the intimacy in the marriage, but about our overall friendship and closeness.
Yes, very much so.
You know what I'm saying?
My mother and my stepfather have been together since I was 1. They've been married for like the last 15, 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
That within that showed me that it takes a part of yourself and it takes a part of them. And that's what the unison is being friends. It's the constant. People want the Instagram relationship.
They do. They want that microwave.
They want the microwave. You want the air fryer. I don't want no love in the air fryer. I don't want no love you set to 400 degrees for me to get in 20 minutes. I want something that took 450 tears to get in 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be giving me no microwave love that you just put some parsleys on. I don't want no parsleys love.
Real talk.
Yeah,
real talk. For real.
Oh my God.
Microwavable love. Well, my brother, we never have enough time.
Oh,
you know what
man.
I'm saying?
Come on now.
But the reason I do it this way is because I be wanting people to be longing for more, so that way they can come back.
Hey, you know what that means? Y'all need to come on back.
Y'all need to come on back.
Y'all need to come on back.
So far, I want to thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so
Love
much.
you.
Thank you.
And like I said, I need lessons on the whole content creation type thing. You know what I mean? Because I feel that.
Hey, this won't be the last time y'all hear from me. I'm telling you that now.
Especially on the B-Side Broadcasting Network.
I ain't gonna say too much, but just know you're gonna hear me back here sooner than what you expect.
So now we got to get a little footage of you, because you're gonna be signing that board because we just did a radio interview. But then you got to sign that board because you just did a performance. You see what I'm saying? There's a method to the madness.
I'm gonna go like hear this. I'm gonna go like here with it.
So I'm going to make sure I get them on both. But I want to tell you guys, thank you always for tuning in to Vibes and Verses. Let people know about it. Share the link. Follow our page, the B-Side Live Network on Facebook. And we also have a link on Instagram. It's the B-Side Network. Remember, we spell it CYDE because we dare to be different.